Story time with Mark. Today I want to talk about two of my favorite people, Kai brothers from another mother, Dan Simon and Pon and Tantarat. I met Dan Simon about better part of, pushing 35, 40 years ago now, just through the martial arts. He used to come up to the school and we would practice sparring and that kind of thing together and just train together. Over time, we just hit it off and became great friends. You know you have a great friend when they don't even have two names, they just have one. Dan Simon, that's it. Now, Dan and I have been all over the world competing, training karate together, but more importantly, we've spent many a great night just sitting in my backyard, having a couple of cocktails and sitting around the fire and discussing politics, discussing just life in general, philosophy, the martial arts, everything. Dan is definitely somebody that I enjoy bouncing ideas off of and has definitely broadened my horizons and made me think a little bit more and a little bit outside of my box on different issues that I might not have otherwise thought about. Now, ironically, without knowing Dan Simon, I would not know Kyoshi Pon and Tantarat. Dan knew him. He actually Dan Simon had a karate school out in Idaho, and Kyoshi Pon had his school out in Idaho as well. I had went out to Dan Simon's school from here in Colorado to teach a seminar, and Pon had brought his students over to the academy. Now, Pon is a fantastic martial artist, and his students, as is Dan Simon, both of their students are just fantastic, great martial artists. But Pon came, and that night we went out and had dinner, as you tend to do after seminars, and just hit it off. Now, Pon is actually from Laos, and it's always very interesting to hear his philosophy, his take on things, when you get somebody that comes from another country and from circumstances that aren't necessarily the best. It really makes you appreciate how great it is to be an American and how blessed we are and how great we really do have it here, regardless of some of the craziness that goes on from time to time. I am super blessed. I am going out to black belt testing at Pon School this weekend, and Kyoshi Pon is always a generous host. I will be seeing Dan Simon and some of my other Kai brothers while I'm out there, so it's something that always rejuvenates me. Those two always remind me and always motivate me to do better, to be a better martial artist, to be a better man, and I'm thankful to have them in my life. If you have any questions or you'd like to hear a story about anything, please drop a comment below. Otherwise, thank you for story time with Mark, and I'll talk to you again.